The Liberal Party, we know when it's going to name its new leader and when Canada will find out its new Prime Minister. That is March the 9th. As we look live at Ottawa, the Liberal Party, the National Executive, the board, announced last night that members will vote on March the 9th to choose Justin Trudeau's successor, and the party will name the winner on that same day. It's a tight timeline for anyone thinking of entering the leadership race, and there is a great deal at stake. Janyce McGregor is in Ottawa, and she's covering the new rules and the new timeline announcements, the money attached to that, some of the financial details we have. What did you hear of interest in what we learned from the board last night, Janyce?
Yeah, some big headlines so far, but I want to make it clear we have a lot of questions that haven't been answered yet either. The meetings of the people running this race continue today into the weekend. They've named their key people, but some important decisions like the spending limit for the candidates in this race haven't actually been set yet. But here's what they have told us so far overnight. First of all, as you mentioned, March 9th, that is the day when registered Liberals will be voting. And on the very same day, they are going to tabulate and announce those votes right away. Why are they moving so fast? Well, we know that Parliament is set to come back as of the end of the prorogation on March 24th. So that means that whoever the new leader is, that person is going to have, 2 weeks to sort of get sworn in, vet and pick a cabinet for that swearing in, write a throne speech, come up with some plan for an election platform, because really, if we're being frank and honest, all signs point to, once the House coming back, it being a very hostile place for the Liberals and the plug being pulled on it within a couple of days. Off to the polls we all go. The timeline on the front end of this race, accordingly, also had to be very tight. Anyone who's going to jump into it's got about 2 weeks to get a team together and decide yes or no. And so we are going to start to see, I think, even as soon as today, the list of people musing turn into a list of people who have decided on a number of fronts. So stay tuned for that as the day goes on. But also important to know that as they pull their teams together, they are only going to have until January 27th to get signed up, all the people they're hoping are going to support them in this race. Otherwise, they're just going to be looking at the established list, the current list of registered Liberals for their support. And their fundraising is going to have to be on point, because the entrance fee for this race that they have set is the highest in Canadian political history at $350,000. That's higher than the Conservatives set for the race that picked Pierre Poilievre. That was about $200,000 with a $100,000 security deposit on top of that. The last time the Liberals picked a leader, it was only $75,000. That is intended to whittle a long list down. The other thing that needs to be discussed coming out of last night's news is that the Liberals have responded to the fairly sharp criticism they've been getting from all corners this week about how their previous Liberal rules for picking a leader could have opened it up to foreign meddling. Youth over 14 are still going to be allowed to vote in this race, but from now on, to be a registered Liberal, you've got to be a citizen or a permanent resident or have status under the Indian Act. You can't be a temporary resident anymore. Yesterday afternoon, I noticed the party spokesperson on social media had to wade in because there were accounts basically signing up with fake identities and saying that this was a way to manipulate the race. They needed to shut that false information down and give no impression that this could be meddled with.
Janyce, could you come back to the reporting you had for us? It was initially colleagues of ours at Radio-Canada reporting this, but some more detail this morning about a deal the Prime Minister tried to strike with two of the opposition party leaders after he announced his resignation on Monday. What have we learned?
Yeah, this is really important in terms of understanding the road ahead. Louis Blouin, our Radio-Canada colleague, reporting this morning that after his Monday announcement, Justin Trudeau reached out to the leaders of the Bloc Québécois and the NDP personally to see if they wouldn't be prepared, at least for a short time, to work with the Liberals to get a few more things passed, particularly spending measures on shared priorities with the NDP. You think about things like pharmacare, expanding dental care, and so on. Of course, Parliament coming back just at the end of the fiscal year, this idea that maybe they could cooperate, get a little bit of very, very essential shared priorities done, maybe border measures, stuff like that, before they move on to resuming hostilities and eventually confidence votes that would see Parliament end. However, the response from both of those parties, no. They're not interested in working with the Liberals, not interested in having them buy more time. that really tells us how things are going to go now in late March. Pierre Poilievre out talking to reporters yesterday, also vowing and even asking a new Liberal leader to end this as quickly as possible and go to the Governor General as soon as they were picked. Also instructive to see, because this is a guy who likes to have derisive nicknames for his political opponents. And now he seems to be deciding that his top 3 opponents in this Liberal leadership race, well, you can hear how he's nicknamed them.
In the next election, I will be running against Justin Trudeau. Whether his name is Justin Trudeau, or his name is Chrystia Freeland, or Carbon Tax Carney, or Carbon Tax Clark, they will all be Justin Trudeau. They supported everything he's done, and they promise to keep doing it.
So you can see the strategy of lumping them all together and not relenting at all, or interested in giving them more time to get themselves organized. Nevertheless, Liberals out on social media, shiny new video promoting the race, hoping it could help them when they're at historic lows in the polls. We will see.